Alright, so this batch should bring us up to date. A lot of the matches have been a bit shorter, at least the ones that I'm showing so far have been a bit shorter because they're losses. Usually the losses don't, well, at least this week the losses haven't taken up too much time, just in and out quickly, which is kind of what you want. You don't want to waste a lot of time if you're going to lose. Yeah, that's kind of what's been happening. This one was another such loss where I yet again forgot about the threat range and the Ather thing. Remember I was talking about the Ather thing in the other video, that the safety fence would have gotten sniped? Yeah, the safety fence got sniped, and it kind of just ended my game, so ended my run. So that's pretty much what happened here, and you're going to see it play out. The strategy here was, of course, first off to break the catapult, because you kind of have to if you're going to use the safety fence, and they have it perfectly positioned to snipe, so that had to go. And you'll see me try to work Celica around to get that done, which, to be fair, like I said, it's been a fantastic time to kind of revive Celica. The downside is that her damage output is really lacking in comparison to where we are currently. She can't even take out some of the older units when they have the support that is available now that's in the game. So it really comes down to, you know, just using support to try to buff her and debuff the enemy team. Buffs and debuffs, that's really what you gotta use to help Celica get kills. Favor works. I'm thinking of putting Favor on this Cav here, or Selena, I forget her name, but for the time being, I don't really have anything much to give. There really isn't anything much that you can give to Celica to really upgrade her kit. I guess you could give her Execution Breath, but I mean, why? Kind of marginal increase in damage output, really not that significant in my opinion. And then maybe you could change her A skill, but she kind of benefits from having the extra stats there. So until they put more damage output in the C skill, you know, maybe she'll get better then, but it's not going to be something substantial. They never do that. And then also, I guess you could drop her special, but that's the whole thing about her. So I don't, what do you even do at that point? So Celica is just going to have to be Celica. You're stuck with this unit as she is. Same with Emblem Lynn. There's not really much that you can change about her, although I guess there are more options there, as opposed to Celica. She's kind of stuck to running this specific kit. And she's older than Lynn as well, so yeah. But the pass and the damage still pretty good, you know, if you can hit something and hit it hard enough to kill it. Still beneficial to have. So she's here, and she doesn't benefit at all from the reflex, because you don't want the Celica taking a hit. She's made out of paper. Do not let her take a hit. But the pass, she's not she can't benefit from reflex because her whole thing is desperation. Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do, like, to upgrade the Celica, or like in terms of damage output. She probably needs some type of support that boosts her damage, or just status effects to boost her damage. Maybe she'd work really well actually with flash. If you're able to flash the opponent, then she can just go in and attack for free, but there's a ton of no counter disrupt in the game now, so that's probably not even a good idea either. But doing what I can here to try to make it work. Trying to back away, trying to escape, because I've, you know, put myself in a situation where the safety fence is broken because I forgot about Holder doing that when you attack. I thought at this point that it was only when you successfully killed the units, but no, because that's what it says. It says when you attack, or when you defeat a unit in combat, I think is the wording, but it doesn't specify that it's just attacking. So there I go. Elm is gone because he was stuck there, but also because there's nowhere else that I could have put him that he would have been able to escape. And then Celica goes on a rampage. It's fun to see someone else's defense pop off like this, because mine kind of does the same thing or something similar. But yeah, murder. Celica commits a ton of it, and really nothing I could have done to avoid this particular scenario. I guess maybe I could have shut down the Celica, but hindsight is 2020. GG's. Alright, so here we go with another match. I think this was a win. I think I sprinkled a win in there. This was a quick match, so yeah, I figured I'd just throw this one in there while I talk about what else? I had something in mind. A little bit more about Lucina. I don't think I followed up on where she is now in terms of like scaling and power and stuff. I think there've been a couple of matches so far. Oh, the first match, the one that I put out, the first match for the week, the one that I lost, there was a Lucina ring in there, which made the map way more difficult than it normally was. It wasn't on for Mortis, it was on someone else. I forget who it was on, but for Mortis was the one beneficiary of it because of he's a save. It made him a lot more difficult to break through, but as you saw in that first match that I put out, or that first video that I put out, that Freya was still able to break him down just by big number, big damage. But there aren't that many units that could potentially do that for you, and thankfully he wasn't running Shield Fighter, so that wasn't a problem or an issue for this particular situation. So if that was Shield Fighter, it would probably been an automatic loss, and then if you attacked, you would have lost even more of your units. I wouldn't have bothered to attack because of for Mortis's end action gimmick. So yeah, the ring is really strong. I probably would have had to have brought Elise just to counter the ring to get rid of that first attack, which I think is really stupid. It shouldn't be such a... There's already two things in the game that makes you not want to play the game. The foresight snare and the terrain. So this ring is basically adding one more thing that makes you not want to play the game. And just another thing to stress you out. Another level of difficulty has been added, and I'm not a fan. And then also you're going to stack that with Miracle as well, so that's 4 things that make it really difficult to kill anything. And overall I'm just not a fan. Really need a new nuke, something big and shiny and powerful, but then that's the cycle that we've fallen into. We get defensive buffs, and then that's followed up by offensive buffs, so it's just a cycle that goes on and on and on and forever, and they don't seem to be doing anything sideways to try to counterplay the things that they've created. And it's not, and even when they do, they make things to counter the counter, and it's just kind of dumb. I don't know, man. Really frustrating, especially when I load into a map and I see that terrain and I'm like, this is going to take forever. This match is going to take at least an hour to try to figure out how to initiate here, because my nukes don't hit hard enough. I'm going to need to attack multiple times, and I'm going to need all the actions in the world just to get up there before I can start attacking. So there's a lot of things to consider, and it just kind of makes Ether raids not fun to play. I loaded into maps like this, and I was actually rejoiceful because it means that I could get in and out in less than 15 minutes. Yeah, it's kind of tough. I'm considering bringing Ivy from defense and putting her on offense. The Harmonic Ivy, I forget which banner she was from, but I'm considering bringing her to offense just to have the extra firepower. Although I don't even think it will really help, to be honest. It's good that she's a flyer at the very least, but I honestly don't think it'll help. Like I said, I'm going to bench Freya, but I don't know who I'm going to replace her with. I saw some snippets of the child banner, and it looks like 3 houses, and I was hearing some talks about Claude being really strong, so I don't know, I'll look some more into that to see what's going on there. And then this new Lucina, yeah, she gets the extra actions, and I'm currently summoning on the banner. Hopefully I think I'm barely at 20, but hopefully I'll be able to spark before the banner goes away rather.
Right away.
She just doesn't look like that powerful of a unit. She doesn't look like she hits hard enough to even counter her own effects. So let's say if someone is supported with the Lucina ring, you'd hope that Lucina herself can do something to counter that Lucina effect. But no, that's not the case. They should have given her feud. Or maybe she has food and I just didn't realize, but I've never seen a a bow unit with feud aside from Lynn. So yeah, I don't think this Lucina has feud built in. If she had feud, then she'd be the perfect counter to the problem that she creates, and then hence balance the game. But they decided to not do that. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get the Lucina, level her up, and then use her ring. I don't think I'm planning to use her on defense. I don't really see the point. Unless it's like, you know, partnered with Valley, because that Lucina is kind of fast. So if she can win the speed check, then, you know, we can probably cook. But I don't know. Yeah. The game feels difficult. It definitely does.
We will win.
Especially when you're playing against the more thought out defenses. It really smacks you in the face that this is indeed a challenging game. A lot of it could, you know, be countered with like undefended and stuff, but the terrain, it's just like, it's so much to think about and so much that you have to do that sometimes it kind of feels a bit overwhelming, and I just don't want to do it. That's kind of where I end up falling. But this one's done. Duma's actually been a hindrance this week so far. Like the defenses that I've seen so far that use Duma, they've used them effectively, because kind of what it's boiled down to is that the main structure is kind of the safety fence, and a lot of people are just running the safety fence alone and nothing else. So Duma kind of fits into the current niche or meta in a sense. But yeah, this one's done. GG's. Let's go for another one. Alright, so this one's another Duma team. I think I won this one as well, because as you'll see, it is a pretty simple defense, and I was so happy when I matched into this, because everything up until now was pretty challenging. I took a couple of rematches in between there, and well, some of the losses that you saw were rematches that I took. So I knew those would have been difficult as I was going into them, but I just genuinely could not figure out better teams to put together. So I figured, you know, let's just go in and figure it out as we move along, and all of those times it ended up in losses. But again, shout outs to my opponents for building great defenses. There's nothing that you can really take away from that. If, you know, someone puts the effort into building something that's concrete and holds up, then that should definitely be awarded or applauded for the them actually caring to put the effort into the game. So that's a good thing. But man, is it frustrating when you're, you know, matching into it. My defense is holding up as well. I still haven't changed my anima defense from what it was, because honestly there aren't that many units that I'd really put in there. I want to see like the Lucina ring. I can potentially see that fitting in there in some capacity. I just don't know who would get that, and it makes Ather at least better in a lot of ways, and I would love to, like, I want more things that make Ather bulkier so that she just doesn't have to worry about Lynn anymore. But then also that's a problem in it. That's a problem in and of itself, because like I said, I'm just perpetuating the problem. You bulk units up and then you release more powerful nukes to counter that. Erica seems to be fitting in into that role of a powerful nuke, and I've been seeing some loots as well. Seems to be a powerful unit, and I like when they do that. I like when they, instead of going for, because loot could have been Erica, because they always pick the most popular unit, but I guess loot is pretty popular, but there's others that are ahead of her. But I like that they picked a unit like loot to give that much. The only thing stopping a bad unit or an unpopular unit from being looked at as desirable is the amount of effort and skills they put into that unit. So if you just make a good unit, it doesn't matter how unpopular they are. If the unit is good, it will sell. And you've seen that a lot with some Three Houses units, and I think the loot there is an example of that as well. Just a unit that's just powerful enough to sell on their own, regardless of how popular they are within the player base. Quick side tangent, I'm currently watching Stranger Things, and man, that show is just not as what I expected it to be in terms of quality. It feels like what Teen Wolf I don't know if some of you are old enough to remember Teen Wolf on MTV when MTV was actually a good station. But yeah, it gives me a lot of shades of Teen Wolf. And I don't know, I'm probably too old for it, but I'm surprised that they have what seems to be 7 to 8 seasons of this show. I do appreciate the development of the characters as each season has progressed. You see them grow up from kids to teenagers, and I'm pretty sure at some point they'll be adults in the show. So that progression has been pretty good, and I like that they have not shied away from that aspect of the show, because sometimes they like kids to be kids, and it's kind of weird when they get to a certain age and you just don't see them grow, and you're like, what's going on here? But yeah, it's interesting watching them grow up and develop different personalities within the group. They've touched on race, sex, and gender, and all of them, they've done it really well. I love the emphasis that they place on Dungeons and Dragons. Not that I've ever played before, but I love that they just, it's not a, it's, I like how they've made it to where these are games that would have been played in like corners, hidden, just as it's depicted. No one would know that. I almost lost here this particular match to Black Knight because I was getting walled out, so thankfully Edelgard was able to do it. But yeah, I love that they're highlighting the Dungeons and Dragons, because nerds are more than just nerds, and there's a reason that they are the way that they are, and they learn from those around them, like the smart teachers, the ones that are the science teachers, and how influential they were in the kids' development and growth. I thought that was really impactful. That left a big mark on me, because your teacher, the people that they put in the classroom to teach you things, have such a massive impact on your life, and you probably don't even realize it. But I love that they highlight that in the series. I think it's a great social commentary, but just it's not scary in the slightest. It's probably funny, if anything. GG's. See you in the next one.